Welcome to the live demo for Math Unikernel. In this video, we're going to cover how to compile the operating system, how to boot it onto the host device, how to set up the VS Code extension, and how to write and stream a workload. A few materials we need to begin. We need one device on which to build the operating system and write the workloads. Another device on which to run the operating system, an Ethernet cable to establish a link, and a USB drive to flash the OS to. We'll begin by compiling the operating system. So you want to enter the project repository, Math Unikernel. These should be the files that you see at the root. So the first step is to run the makefile. And then we run a series of scripts that are found within the repo already. The first one is to build the ISO. Once you see that the build is complete, you want to then take your USB drive and insert it to your system. But before moving forward, you want to make sure that it's not mounted. So this USB drive is SDA. We see that it's not mounted anywhere, so we are able to flash the drive now. So once you see this message, that means that it's been successfully completed and you can move forward. Now we set up the VS Code extension. So you want to go into the repository for the extension itself. You should be met with this root directory. And you simply want to run code -- install extension and the extension file mu001 vsix. Now we will boot the OS itself. So you want to take your flashed USB drive and insert it into your system. And we take the Ethernet cable and connect it. Now, once this is all done, you might need to go into the BIOS to adjust the boot sequence, since the device might try to run the operating system that's installed to the disk. So that's usually finding your BIOS key and then making sure that your USB drive is at the top of the boot sequence. So we turn that on. And this indicates a successful boot. So I want to point out that we got the message link is up, meaning that there is an established connection. And we also got the MAC address, which is going to be important for the next step in our workload environment setup. So now we're ready to create our workload directory. So we're going to create a new directory, we'll call it demo, and we're going to open it in VS Code. So since this is a completely empty directory, devoid of the SDK folder, we're going to hit yes on this prompt and generate it. So this contains the address table for all the functions provided in the operating system under kernel API, the linker script to lay out sort of the floor plan, and the makefile to compile at the end. A couple things I want to point out before we start. We want to define a struct of this type, kernel API T, or type, and we need to take note of this macro right here, kernel API address. So in the root directory of your workload, we're going to create this file, workload.c. It has to be named this in order for the compiler to realize it's there. Then we're going to include the API directory. The API header file, sorry. We denote the function that the OS runs using this keyword right here, main. And we'll call the function run. So in here, we're going to define our kernel API context. and we use the macro here. Now let's just run a simple print function. We'll print hello world in order to write to the display. And yeah, that should be a basic workload ready to go. Now, we want to compile it and we want to stream it over to the OS. But before we can do anything, there's two things that we need to ensure are filled out. So if you go to VS Code's options and go to Math Unikernel, we want to make sure that our interface for this device's NIC is listed out here, and that the MAC address of the unikernel is written here. So we saw that when we boot the OS. Now, to use some of our extensions features, we're going to open this menu down here, and we're going to hit compile. So we've now created the binary. And the last step is to stream it over. So we want to stream workload.binary or .bin. I enter my password here as this does involve administrator privileges. And it says here we've sent out 164 bytes and 2 frames. And when we look at the OS, sure enough, we get a hello world. So yeah, that's how you use our deliverable, and we'll be providing documentation in the GitHub and on our website. Thank you very much.